Oban Elliot. He's the quiet brown belt who stunned the crowd with a slick submission on debut. Oban Elliot might just be the UFC's next top grappling star. At just 3 UFC fights in, Elliot is turning heads. A Brazilian jiu-jitsu brown belt, he blends timing, balance, and sneaky setups that leave opponents scrambling. But it's how he's doing it that excites the fans. Watching him methodically dismantle tougher, more experienced fighters signals something special. In his second UFC bout, he faced a veteran striker and calmly transitioned from takedown to armbar mid-attack, snapping the submission clean. Then, in Fight 3, he locked in a rear-naked choke in under 2 minutes, despite being rocked early. His calm under pressure reveals a fighter with mental steel. But don't expect him to rush. Oban speaks softly in interviews, then storms forward like a silent assassin. Coaches say his long-term plan is deliberate. He studies opponents like chess players to predict their next move. While others chase highlight reels, he's building dominance quietly. And if he keeps rising, expect him to grab title contention within 12 months. Fun fact, Elliot used to train grappling 4 hours daily before even touching MMA gloves, something many future champions overlook. But this is just the tip. Up next, a Georgian wrestler bulldozing the bantamweight division with relentless pace and championship dreams. Merab Dvalishvili. He can out-wrestle you, outpace you, and outlast you, sometimes all in the same round. Merab's stamina is legendary, his style non-stop pressure. Merab Dvalishvili, the Georgian-born American bantamweight champ, lives up to his nickname, The Machine. His wrestling output, takedowns, scrambles, pin control, is some of the most relentless in MMA. Opponents have compared fighting him to being stuck in a blender. In his title run, Merab averaged over 10 takedowns per fight, breaking records. His fight with Peter Yan saw him smother one of the division's best strikers with non-stop pressure, leading to a 5th-round finish. And when he swapped minds with Sean O'Malley, Merab's cardio never faltered. He outpaced flashy striking for 5 grueling rounds. He uses mini suplexes, relentless positional transitions, and punches from the top to wear opponents into mush. But unlike other grapplers, Merab's takedowns sting. He doesn't just control you, he punishes you. Fighters who caught him off guard said they felt hope for the first 2 minutes. Then, he breaks them mentally. He told ESPN after his title win, "I don't come to fight, I come to break them." Fun fact, he runs uphill sprints with full packs in training, countless times a week. But, while Merab owns the 135 division, next up we dive into a champion who combines Olympic-level wrestling with chokes that snap opponents asleep. Kayla Harrison. She ragdolls opponents like they're amateurs. And that's not an exaggeration. Kayla Harrison entered the UFC with a gold medal and left legends unconscious. A 2-time Olympic judo gold medalist, Kayla didn't need years of hype. She choked out Juliana Pena at UFC 316 and walked out with the women's bantamweight belt in just her 3rd fight. Her transitions are terrifying. Her grip, worse than a bear trap. What makes Kayla different is control. She doesn't scramble, she stalks. Opponents don't escape, they survive. Juliana Pena later said, "I thought I was drowning in quicksand. I couldn't move." Her ground and pound is short, brutal, and precise, like judo hip throws merged with elbows. While Ronda Rousey made women's MMA mainstream, Kayla's refining that legacy by punishing opponents with judo that's evolved into MMA dominance. Critics claimed she hadn't fought real competition during her PFL run, but Kayla answered them with clinical performances in the UFC. She now plans to move up to featherweight and unify 2 belts. She once said, "Gold medals mean nothing in a cage, unless you make people quit." That's exactly what she's doing. And speaking of making champions quit, get ready to meet a flyweight destroyer who doesn't blink when he fights, Alexandre Pantoja. He walks into title defenses like he's walking into the gym, calm, unreadable, and calculated. Pantoja isn't flashy, but he's quietly dominating the flyweight division. 3 successful defenses in, Alexandre Pantoja is the flyweight champion that hardcore fans worship, and casuals are just beginning to fear. He doesn't make noise outside the cage, but inside, he delivers calculated violence. Pantoja's greatest weapon is unpredictability. He switches gears mid-fight, submitting Manel Kape, decisioning Brandon Royval, and outlasting Brandon Moreno in one of 2023's bloodiest chess matches. What makes him special is control. He doesn't throw bombs. He throws problems you can't solve. Commentators often miss how he sets his submissions. It's not just skill, it's bait. He once faked an overhand right just to sneak into a back take. Seconds later, rear naked choke. Fight over. Teammates call him the Professor because his IQ inside the octagon is absurd. And even under fire, his face never changes. That mental calm breaks his opponents long before the tap. He's now eyeing a possible move to bantamweight to chase double champ status. But first, one more title defense may seal his legacy at 125. And if you thought Pantoja was scary, Wait until you meet the Georgian tank who never runs out of gas. Coming up next, Dricus du Plessis. He fights like a storm, breathes like he's drowning, and somehow still breaks champions. Dricus du Plessis thrives in chaos, and that's no accident. The current middleweight champion of 2025, Dricus doesn't move like a typical striker. His stance is awkward, his punch is wild, and his breathing. People thought he was gassed out 2 minutes into his fight with Robert Whittaker, but guess what? He knocked him out cold in round 2. Dricus' unpredictability is his greatest weapon. He throws looping punches, mixes in heavy elbows, and uses his grappling at just the right moment. Against Sean Strickland, he absorbed jabs like a tank, then turned the tide with bursts of raw power that shut the lights out. He once said, "I don't fight clean, I fight real," and that's why he wins. Many doubted his cardio. They mocked his nose surgery. But since fixing that breathing issue, he's gone on to dominate every round like a man with something to prove. And while his technique isn't textbook, his results are undeniable. He's a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't form, it's confidence backed by violence. And if Dricus shook the middleweight division, the next name shattered the featherweights. Stick around, because Ilia's story is jaw-dropping. Ilia Topuria. One clean right hand. That's all it took to retire a legend. Ilia Topuria doesn't fight for points. He fights for statements. In February 2024, Ilia Topuria became the UFC featherweight champion after knocking out Alexandre Volkanovski, the man many considered unbeatable. And he didn't just win. He sniped Volkanovski with a precision counter that left fans stunned. That punch echoed across the MMA world. Topuria's style is smooth but brutal. His boxing is laser sharp and his grappling, world class. He grew up grappling in Spain and Georgia, blending his footwork with frightening power. The result? A fighter who doesn't waste movement or mercy. He trains like a technician and fights like a hunter. Ilia stalks opponents, cuts angles, then attacks with calm, calculated aggression. In 15 professional fights, he's never been beaten. He told Ariel Helwani, "I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to finish legacies." And he's doing just that. With Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, and others in his sights, Topuria is making his case as one of the greatest featherweights of the era. Some say he's got McGregor's striking mixed with Khabib's mindset. Up next, a heavyweight kickboxer so dangerous, most contenders don't even want to fight him, Tom Aspinall. He moves like a middleweight, punches like a truck, and finishes fights before you blink. Tom Aspinall might be the most complete heavyweight in UFC history. At UFC 295, Aspinall melted Sergey Pavlovich in 69 seconds. That knockout wasn't just quick, it was surgical. With a jab feint and right cross, Tom cemented himself as the fastest, most technical striker in the heavyweight division. But speed isn't his only weapon. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and has said he feels more dangerous on the ground than on the feet. That's terrifying, considering his hands. What sets him apart is his ability to read opponents. He adapts mid-fight with IQ levels rarely seen in the heavyweight chaos. Curtis Blades tried wrestling. Aspinall stuffed and reversed him. Marcin Tybura tried pressure. He got folded in round 1. Tom's father was a jiu-jitsu coach, and he grew up on mats, learning balance and leverage before he ever threw a punch. That foundation makes his transition seamless. And unlike many heavyweights, he doesn't gas. He flows. When asked who he wants next, Aspinall said simply, "Whoever thinks they can survive 2 rounds. Let's see." But now we come to a fighter who's never needed judges. The quiet destroyer at welterweight, the scariest future champ of them all, Shavkat Rakhmonov. No tattoos, no trash talk, just 100% finish rate and cold, calculated violence. Shavkat Rakhmonov might be the closest thing the UFC has to a perfect fighter. Born in Kazakhstan and trained in combat sambo, Shavkat stepped into the UFC and immediately made waves. He's 19-0, with 19 finishes. That's not hype, that's execution. Submissions, head kicks, rear naked chokes. He finishes with whatever tool the fight gives him. He blends striking and grappling like silk and steel. In one sequence, he dropped Neil Magny with a spinning back fist, then choked him unconscious in under a minute. In another, he walked down Jeff Neal, absorbing heavy shots, and submitted him in the final seconds. What's wild is his composure. He rarely looks rushed. He dissects. Fighters describe being hit by him as clean pain, the kind you feel after you've already gone down. Joe Rogan once said, "This guy might be the most dangerous welterweight we've ever seen, and nobody's talking about him." Now they are. Shavkat is now eyeing Leon Edwards, or whoever survives the title picture. But with his style, it might not matter who he faces. The outcome tends to be the same. If you're not watching these future champions now, you'll be late when they take over. Hit subscribe, drop your favorite name below, and stay ready for the next storm.